I'm pivoting to earnest, but you can't.
No,
No,
I can pivot to earnest, and if I do, it becomes like, it's disgusting. No, I genuinely had the best time of my entire life, and I actually don't know.
He's Hollywood's golden boy, the man who turned a forgotten Marvel anti-hero into a billion-dollar franchise. But now, Ryan Reynolds is furious. After years of carrying Deadpool on his back, Disney has reportedly slashed his salary. And Ryan's revenge might change the future of Marvel forever. Could this really be the end of Deadpool as we know him? Ryan Reynolds is one of the most beloved stars in Hollywood. From romantic comedies to action-packed blockbusters, he's built a career on charm, wit, and relentless determination. But nothing defined him more than Deadpool. What started as a risky project no one believed in became one of the most successful R-rated superhero franchises of all time. Yet behind the success lies a battle. Since Disney acquired 20th Century Fox, the studio that originally brought Deadpool to life, tensions have been rising. Fans wondered whether the Merc with a Mouth would even survive under Disney's family-friendly brand. And now, with reports of Disney cutting Ryan's paycheck, the conflict has reached a boiling point. So how did Ryan Reynolds go from Marvel's savior to Disney's enemy? And what shocking revenge could he unleash on the studio? To understand, we need to go back to the beginning, when Ryan Reynolds risked everything to bring Deadpool to life. Before Deadpool became a household name, he was considered unfilmable. The character was too crude, too violent, and too meta for traditional superhero movies. Ryan Reynolds, however, saw potential. After a brief, disastrous appearance as Deadpool in X-Men Origins, Wolverine, 2009, Reynolds refused to give up on the character. For years, he pitched studios, begged executives, and even leaked test footage online to prove Deadpool could work. Against all odds, Fox greenlit the project, but with a tiny budget compared to other superhero blockbusters. The gamble paid off. Deadpool, 2016, shattered expectations, earning over $780 million worldwide and proving that audiences wanted something fresh. Reynolds wasn't just the star. He was the driving force, the heart, and the soul of the franchise. His creative input, marketing genius, and relentless passion made Deadpool one of Marvel's most unique success stories. But success comes with consequences. And once Disney acquired Fox, the fate of Deadpool entered dangerous new territory. Would the Merc with a Mouth survive in a PG-13 world? When Disney bought 20th Century Fox in 2019, it gained control of Deadpool, the X-Men, and other Marvel characters. On paper, this looked like a win. Fans dreamed of Deadpool joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe, finally interacting with heroes like Spider-Man or the Avengers. But behind the scenes, the mood was far less optimistic. Disney's brand has always been built on family-friendly entertainment. The raw, R-rated humor of Deadpool didn't fit neatly into that box. Executives debated whether to tone down the character or even abandon the franchise altogether. Ryan Reynolds, however, wasn't backing down. He insisted that Deadpool's irreverent, adult-oriented style was the key to its success. Any attempt to water it down, he argued, would betray the fans who made the franchise a hit. For a while, things seemed stable. Disney confirmed that Deadpool 3 was in development, with Reynolds attached. But then came the news that blindsided both fans and insiders. Disney had cut Ryan Reynolds' salary. Was this just a business decision? Or a deliberate move to push Ryan out of the Marvel machine? For years, Ryan Reynolds was not just the face of Deadpool, he was its savior. Without him, there would be no franchise. Fans knew it, critics knew it, and executives at Fox knew it. But Disney? That was another story. When reports emerged that Disney had decided to cut Reynolds' salary for Deadpool 3, the reaction was immediate outrage. How could the man who turned a risky gamble into a billion-dollar property suddenly be treated like just another cog in the Marvel machine? Insiders suggested the pay cut wasn't just about numbers, it was about control. Disney had been known to rein in its stars, keeping them on a tight leash under the Marvel brand. Reynolds, however, wasn't an actor for hire. He was a producer, a co-writer, and the creative engine of Deadpool. His independence, his sharp humor, and his refusal to play by the usual rules may have clashed with Disney's corporate culture. For Reynolds, it was a slap in the face. He had spent years proving Deadpool could work, only to be undervalued at the height of its success. To fans, it felt like betrayal. And to Ryan, it felt like war. But Reynolds wasn't about to stay quiet. He had built his career on breaking rules, and now he was preparing to break Disney's. The question was, how would Ryan fight back? And what kind of revenge could one man unleash on one of the most powerful studios in the world? Ryan Reynolds has never been the type to take bad news lying down. His response to Disney's salary cut wasn't anger behind closed doors. It was action in the open. And the first step in his revenge was doing what he does best, using his wit, charm, and massive platform to control the narrative. Through subtle jabs on social media, interviews filled with sharp humor, and playful digs at corporate culture, Reynolds made it clear that he wasn't afraid to embarrass the very studio that was trying to squeeze him. His ability to connect with fans directly, bypassing traditional PR channels, gave him enormous leverage. If Disney wanted to play hardball, Ryan had an army of supporters ready to fight for him. But his revenge went deeper than jokes. Reynolds had already built an empire outside of Disney. His aviation gin brand, his stake in Mint Mobile, and his role in Wrexham AFC weren't just side projects. They were proof that he didn't need Marvel to stay relevant. Every successful move outside of Hollywood sent the same message. Ryan Reynolds was bigger than Deadpool. And then came the whispers of a bigger threat. What if Ryan Reynolds decided to walk away from Deadpool altogether? Could he take the character that he made famous and refuse to return unless Disney gave him what he deserved? The thought terrified fans and executives alike. Because without Reynolds, Deadpool wasn't just in danger. It was dead. So, would Disney call his bluff? Or was Reynolds ready to kill Deadpool himself, just to prove a point? For Disney, the idea of losing Ryan Reynolds wasn't just inconvenient, it was catastrophic. Unlike Spider-Man, Iron Man, or Captain America, Deadpool didn't exist in the public imagination without Reynolds. He wasn't simply playing a role. He was the role. His humor, his timing, his improvisation. All of it was uniquely Ryan. And Reynolds knew it. Rumors began circulating that he was prepared to walk away from Deadpool 3 entirely if Disney refused to restore his full salary and creative freedom. Some even claimed he'd hinted at shelving Deadpool forever, effectively ending the franchise on his terms. For fans, the idea was devastating. The thought of no more Deadpool felt like a betrayal, not by Reynolds, but by Disney. Social media lit up with hashtags demanding justice, calling out the studio for mistreating the actor who single-handedly saved the character from obscurity. Reynolds, ever the strategist, didn't need to spell out his threat directly. His silence at key moments, his cryptic posts, and his ability to mobilize fan outrage were enough to keep Disney on edge. Every week that passed without an official announcement about Deadpool, 3 only added fuel to the fire. The message was clear. Ryan Reynolds held all the cards. Without him, there was no franchise. And if Disney wanted Deadpool to live, they would have to pay. But Disney isn't known for caving easily. The studio's response would prove just how far they were willing to go to maintain control, even if it meant risking the very franchise they had just acquired. Behind closed doors, Disney executives scrambled. The studio had spent billions acquiring Fox's library, and Deadpool was one of its crown jewels. But the problem wasn't Deadpool, it was Ryan Reynolds. How do you negotiate with someone who doesn't need you? Disney tried to regain control through strategy. First, they floated the idea of recasting Deadpool, a move that sent fans into a frenzy. The backlash was immediate and brutal. "No Ryan, no Deadpool" became a rallying cry across fan forums, trending hashtags, and even entertainment news cycles. It was clear, recasting wasn't an option. Next, the studio explored the idea of softening Deadpool for the broader Marvel Cinematic Universe. By toning down the character's R-rated antics, they hoped to make him less dependent on Reynolds' unique style. But this idea collapsed almost instantly. Fans didn't want a PG-13 Deadpool, and Reynolds himself made jokes online, mocking the very thought. Finally, whispers suggested Disney considered shelving Deadpool altogether, focusing instead on other Marvel properties. But abandoning a billion-dollar franchise would make no financial sense. Disney was caught in a trap of its own making. They needed Deadpool, but they couldn't control Ryan Reynolds. The result? Negotiations dragged on, the project stalled, and tension continued to rise. Reynolds, meanwhile, leaned into his other ventures, proving he could thrive without Disney's backing. With every success, from selling aviation gin to the explosive growth of Mint Mobile, Ryan showed the world that he was in charge of his destiny. So, how far would Disney go to regain control of Deadpool? And would Ryan Reynolds finally get the last laugh? If Disney thought they could pressure Ryan Reynolds into submission, they underestimated him. Unlike many actors who depend solely on studios for their careers, Ryan had built something much bigger, a global brand powered by his wit, authenticity, and business savvy. Instead of fighting Disney behind closed doors, Reynolds fought them in public, but with humor, not anger. He weaponized his social media presence, dropping carefully timed jokes, cryptic posts, and subtle jabs at corporate greed. Each one went viral, sparking debates and keeping Disney on the defensive. Then came his biggest move, proving he didn't need Deadpool to stay relevant. His ventures outside Hollywood exploded. Aviation Gin became a global success story. Mint Mobile turned into a billion-dollar deal, and Wrexham AFC, the struggling Welsh football club he co-owned, captured the hearts of millions worldwide through a hit docuseries. These victories weren't just side projects. They were strategic reminders to Disney. Ryan Reynolds was bigger than any one role, even Deadpool. If they thought cutting his salary would diminish him, the opposite happened. He became more powerful, more popular, and more indispensable. The masterstroke was clear. By thriving outside the Marvel bubble, Ryan flipped the power dynamic. He no longer needed Disney, but Disney absolutely needed him. The question now was simple. With all the cards in his hands, how would Ryan Reynolds play them? As negotiations dragged on, one thing became undeniable. Deadpool's fate rested entirely on Ryan Reynolds. Fans, executives, and even fellow actors acknowledged that without him, the franchise couldn't survive. And Ryan knew it. Publicly, he played coy, teasing fans with updates that were more jokes than answers. Privately, insiders whispered that Reynolds was demanding not just fair pay, but creative control. He didn't want Deadpool to be swallowed by the Marvel machine. He wanted to protect the character's irreverent, R-rated identity. The irony was striking. Disney had hoped to control Reynolds by cutting his salary. Instead, they backed themselves into a corner where they had to give him more control than ever before. Every delay, every headline, every wave of fan outrage only strengthened Ryan's position. For fans, the suspense became almost unbearable. Would Disney finally bend and give Ryan what he wanted? Would Deadpool remain the crude, violent, hilarious anti-hero fans loved? or be watered down into a family-friendly shadow of himself? And most importantly, would Ryan stay or walk away? What happens next will determine not just Deadpool's future, but Marvel's. Because if Ryan Reynolds can defy Disney and win, it could change the way stars negotiate with studios forever. So, what really happened when Disney tried to cut Ryan Reynolds' salary? They underestimated the one actor they couldn't afford to lose. Instead of breaking him, they made him stronger. By thriving outside of Disney, by mobilizing fans, and by reminding the world that he is Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds turned a corporate slight into a personal victory. At 47, Ryan isn't just an actor, he's a businessman, a global icon, and a man who has proven that even Disney can't silence him. His revenge wasn't loud or violent. It was smart, calculated, and devastatingly effective. Whether Deadpool lives or dies will ultimately be his choice, not Disney's. And that, in the end, is Ryan Reynolds' greatest triumph. So what do you think? Was Disney foolish to challenge him, or was Ryan Reynolds destined to outsmart them from the start? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the untold stories of Hollywood's biggest stars. Because sometimes the funniest guy in the room is also the most dangerous.